Ukrainian folk dance often refers to the dances done by peasants, or at least inspired by peasant culture. However, the Ukrainian dance community today focuses largely on a very theatrical and spectacular style of Ukrainian dance, sometimes with little connection to traditional roots. The Lashky Project, Dances from a Ukrainian Village, explored dances that have actual village roots and connections with authentic folk dance. Peasants lived, and continue to live, in villages, growing their crops and raising their animals in family farms. Compared with contemporary Canadians, they are very self-sufficient. They live with relatively low technology, using little money. They live in close-knit communities and continue the customs and beliefs that were passed on from generation to generation. They grew much of their own food, made their own clothing, played their own music, told their own stories, and performed their own songs and dances. They danced quite often, but not on stages for other people to watch. They danced in rituals to communicate with the supernatural world and to reflect profound realities in their lives and in their communities. They danced for recreational reasons, to express themselves, to release energy after their hard work. They danced as a means of courtship, interacting with other people in their village and perhaps from neighboring villages as well. Peasants danced in the village common areas, in their yards, in their homes, near the church and by the river. The forms were quite simple in structure. There was no thought given to pointing their toes. People danced how they felt. There was a great deal of improvisation, and individuals socialized and tried to impress each other. We don't dance like this anymore. We perform dances on stages, wearing costumes that symbolize another place and another time. Ukrainian pioneers settled the land around Kalmar over 100 years ago. They came from many places, but a large portion of them came from the village of Lashky and the surrounding district. Lashky is a village in the Sian region. Some people call it the far west edge of Opilia. Today, the village is located about 10 kilometers outside of the Ukrainian border in Poland. The older Ukrainian name for the village is Lashky. It lies northeast of the city of Paramish and not too far from the Sian River, east of Yaroslav. The Sian region is an old Ukrainian area, just north of the Lemko region. Farther north from the Sian region are the historic Ukrainian regions of Khom and Podlyasia. Ukrainian dance has paid little attention to this region, due in part to the fact that this area was annexed to Poland after World War II. Ukrainian dance groups often perform dances from the various regions of Ukraine. However, many of the pioneers that settled in the Kalmar area can trace their roots to the district around the village of Lashky. Zirka felt it was important to learn the dances from their own ancestral homeland. In 2007, in collaboration with the Vitry Ukrainian dancers, Zirka organized a research expedition to Poland and Ukraine to conduct interviews and learn about the Lashky area and its traditions. Language and religion tended to mark the differences between Polish and Ukrainian people in the Sian region. There was little difference, however, in the social dance repertoire of the two cultures. The dance repertoire of the Sian River area consisted of mostly couple dances. The Krakowiak was common, as were many different variants of the polka, including a polka danced with a chair. By the beginning of the 20th century, the waltz and seven-step were also known, The repertoire changed from time to time, with new dances coming into fashion as other ones were enjoyed mostly by the older generation.
Ой, то не пташка, а не пташина, що в нашім саду співає.
It is a wonderful experience to visit the land of our ancestors, to see and participate in Ukrainian village traditions. There are Ukrainian festivals that continue in this area even today. It is a mistake to think there is nothing left in the village. There is a whole world out there waiting to be discovered. Ukrainian dances in Canada are often thought of as coming from a particular ethnographic region of Ukraine. Sometimes, as we see with the dances of Lashky and Toporivtsi, choreographers create dances that actually have roots in one specific village or cluster of villages. The dance Toporivska, sometimes called Ruska, is from the village of Toporivtsi in Bukovina, about 14 kilometers from Chernivtsi. This village is famous for its local traditional dress, particularly the koda grass headpiece. The dance was performed, and still is performed, as a ritual dance during certain ceremonial moments during weddings. Other times, choreographers make dances that are based on certain elements in Ukrainian village culture. For example, dances that represent Kupalo traditions are meant to show the audience symbols of this special holiday in the yearly calendar cycle. The Feast of Kupalo is celebrated on the 7th of July, associated with the commemoration of St. John the Baptist. This festival stretches deep into the past as a pre-Christian holiday, marking the summer solstice, when the sun reaches its highest point in the sky. Many special Kupalo songs have been recorded by folklorists, and a few dances have also briefly been recorded. These dances look much like spring song games, slow in tempo and focusing mostly on the words of the song. Some contemporary choreographers in Ukraine and Canada work hard to keep the form of the dance authentic. Even in these cases, the dance changes as it moves from the village common to the stage. Other choreographers actively choose to modify the dances more for the stage. They may use the village dance forms as a base, but they explore creative theatrical effects, emphasizing spectacle and concentrating more on modern movement aesthetics than village tradition.